Jael needed a vehicle. He saw the work he was doing. He said, it's a blessing for me to give, to be able to take part in what he's doing. That this man isn't Puerto Rican. He has no ties, no connections here, but God put it on his heart, and I want to give back because of that.
And you said his name was Eli.
Eli.
And go ahead.
Eli Caban Agrant from Isabela, Puerto Rico. And he's he's fed us. He's let us stay at his house. When we go to people's houses, we become part of the family.
Sure.
And then we become all part of God's family. We're all, it says in the Bible, Jesus asks, who are my brothers, who are my sisters? And the ones that do God's will. And God leaves us to special people. It's just amazing. The people, like I said, people are praying and God sends us there. I don't know how he does it. I'm still trying to figure it out, but it's way beyond my comprehension. But it happens, daily. It happens if we're in Virginia, it happens in Virginia. If we're in Puerto Rico, it's just amazing.
Well, we have I think a short video of that particular example with Eli, where he comes out and tells the people why he's given the car, why he's donated the car.
I think that's called it's better to give than to receive.
It may be, but whatever it is, if that's the title, we're going to let our audience have a chance to view that. And I want to cover a couple of things. When we talk about what is needed, and we know that money is needed, but it goes to provide something. So I know that there are equipment and supplies that can be donated. It takes extra tools. I mean, everybody that comes down there that does the volunteer work, they may bring some tools, but I'm sure there's other tools that need to be, provided. So people can, if you're listening and you've got some tools that are hanging around and you think, well, maybe these can help, I'm sure that they'll find a way to use them. So yes, there are some efforts that can be done there. Extra tools and equipment that you're just not using, they can use them. So help them to rebuild homes and lives by doing that in those communities. Also, and we made this comment earlier, but if you feel led, God may be tugging at your heart and he may be saying, go. Some people are going to do what Trevor did and just say, okay, God, I'm going to donate my time. I'm going, and I'll do whatever it is that you want me to do. And, of course, he related how that has impacted his own life. I'm sure that Hands for God has probably given you a much closer walk with the Lord.
It has definitely, it's one thing to, it's a good experience to serve the Lord and actually be, like the hands of God, and actually doing the work like it says, in James. We need to be not just hearers of the word, but also doers of the word.
That is so appropriate. So volunteers, I know that food and water, the scripture says in Matthew chapter 25 and verse 35, a very poignant verse. It says, for I was hungry and you gave me food. I was thirsty and you gave me drink. So folks, Hands for God is doing more than just putting roofs on houses or fixing automobiles. They're feeding people, but they're also feeding the Word of God, and they are showing the love of God. And you can participate. You can be a part of this great work that God is doing. You want to be able to contribute? We showed you how to do it in the last segment. We're going to give you that opportunity once again. You can go directly to the website, which is Hands for God, www.hands4God, handsforgod.org. And when you're there on that site, you'll be able to see many of the facets of the work with videos and other things that are examples, but you'll also see a counter that shows the number of days since Hurricane Maria made landfall in Puerto Rico. 654 days now as it's counting. And just above that, below the logo of Hands for God, Manos por Dios, is the donate button. And all you got to do is select the way that you want to make that contribution. It's tax deductible. This is a recognized 501c3 nonprofit charity, and it was founded by a homeless, jobless Jewish carpenter who we have the privilege of being able to share this message with others. And he's here with us, but he's waiting on God's command to go back into another devastated area. Might not just be Puerto Rico. There are other hurricanes, and it seems like it's a significant thing. Here's a man whose name is Michael, changed it to the pronunciation of Hebrew, Mishael, and a hurricane that hit last year in Florida was Hurricane Michael. So Hurricane Michael came in and almost totally destroyed areas outside of Panama City, that Mexico Beach area.
Port St. Joe, Apalachicola.
All of those places were just so badly affected. So here's this monstrous storm that caused so much devastation, and then God sends another storm surge in helping with Mishael. Michael,
Florida.
You're the other key to the healing of the storm.
Well, Florida was amazing. We cleared roads. The first thing we did, we cleared roads. We cleared Highway 30 between Apalachicola and Port St. Joe.
Right.
Me and Jesus spent 4 hours, probably cut 60 or 70 trees.
Oh, by the way, I just want to interrupt for a second, because this was so, we've had somebody ask this question. When you go down to an area, say like Puerto Rico, and there's no power, all the people, they don't have any power. But yet, I know that you're using more than just hammers and saws and things like that. You're using drills, cordless powered drills, right?
Drills, saws.
And how do you get them charged? I mean, if there's no power, didn't you come up with something the Lord showed you?
Oh yeah, we're using. There's many different ways. The Puerto Ricans are very innovative. You could use solar. Is one way. You can use solar to charge the car battery, and then you can use the car battery to charge the batteries for the cordless tools.
Okay.
So and if worst comes to worst, we can use hand tools. We can use hammers and saws. So nothing is going to deter us from doing the Lord's will. But the Lord always provides. We use chainsaws with gasoline. We bring our own gasoline, because when there's no power, there's no gasoline.
Sure.
So, we're equipped and we're just ready to go. And this is, what is this, July 6th?
Yes, July 6th.
Okay, well, July 6th, and they're talking about next weekend, there's a storm coming to maybe Mississippi and Alabama. There's a storm heading your way right now, and if it's a Category 3 or greater, we're going to be there before the storm strikes, to be with the people that, refuse to leave.
So, folks, listen to what was just said. A disaster is looming in the very near future. It could be in the next week. It could happen even before you actually get an opportunity to listen to this broadcast. But the thing that you want to be able to recognize is those things happen, but here is an organization that obediently goes to help. Whether it's in the devastated areas in Puerto Rico, or whether it's in hurricane devastated area in where Hurricane Florence went in not too far in Wilmington and that area in North Carolina, or whether it was where Hurricane Michael came in Florida, or the next one. And we don't know when that might be or what the next great need might be. But folks, you can help.
And they might be helping themselves, because the next storm could be in your area, and we could be
Very
there.
true.
Some of the money that you donate could be used to help you. You never know where these storms
Very
are going to
true.
strike. They just come out. This storm is just coming up out of nowhere. In like 2 or 3 days, it just popped up, and it's heading, like I said, it's in the Gulf of Mexico. And Friday, Saturday, maybe Sunday, looks like it's going to make landfall somewhere between Western Florida and Louisiana. You still don't know, because
All right.
Only God knows.
Well, folks, it's not that we're taking anything away from the efforts of Hands for God, but we're going to pray that there's going to be less of that devastation,
Please.
that this hurricane that may be forecast is supposed to come in somewhere within the Gulf of Mexico, that it doesn't come in, that God steers it away. But in the event that it does come in and people are going to be affected by it, it's a wonderful thing to know that Michelle and Trevor and those that are volunteers will go and be there to help the people at their point of need. So if you want to be able to give, remember there's a benefactor that we have. They've agreed to be able to match your contribution. Go to Hands, 4, God, www.handsforgod.org. Click the donate button and make sure that your contribution makes a difference. Whatever you give will be matched by the benefactor. We want to be able to be thankful for your donation, but think about how much more it can mean. If you're led to give $1,500, and I'm not just making an appeal for you to reach deep into your funds, I'm just letting you know the benefactor will match that $1,500, so $3,000 will go to Hands for God so that they can do the work that God has for them.
Richard will be right back in a moment to wrap up. But if you've just joined us, you've been listening to Reflections on the Word with Richard Kay. You can hear this message in its entirety again online, as well as Richard's entire archive at talknetworkradio.com. We would like to acknowledge our theme song, How Great Is Thy Faithfulness, from the America's 25 Favorite Hymns album. Unless otherwise expressed, scriptures are read from the Holman Christian Standard Bible, which is published by Holman Bible Publishers in Nashville, Tennessee. Additional resources used for Reflections on the Word with Richard Kay include Great is Thy Faithfulness by Our Daily Bread and printed by Discovery House Publishers. Again, here is Richard to wrap up today's message.
So we need to recognize everybody can't go, but everybody can do something. Whether it is tools or whether it is other resources, get the message out. Let people know that they can join hands with this organization, Hands for God. We're so privileged to have Michelle Perrone and to have Trevor Freegan with us today, because it could be a week from now we wouldn't be able to sit together because they won't be here. They'll be out helping the people that are hit by one of these devastating storms. So we want to be able to help them. Remember, you can also give by check. If you choose, you want to send your check directly into the post office box. It's Post Office Box, you want to write this down, 9934 in Virginia Beach, Virginia, and the zip code, Mike?
23450.
23450. Once again, that's Post Office Box 9934, Virginia Beach, Virginia, 23450.
And if they could also put on the note that they heard the Richard Kay, on the note that they would.
If you want to do that, folks, the best thing to do is just to make a notation that you heard this on Talk Network Radio.
Right.
If you just put down TNR, which would be the initials for Talk Network Radio, it would be recognized and the benefactor would be able to see that you heard this broadcast or a group of broadcasts that are going to be able to be heard. And we want to get the message out. So look at the videos that are on the website. Trevor, thank you for your efforts in being able to help put together some of the things on the website. One of the suggestions that I think we're going to be able to see maybe in the near future is that we'll be able to look at perhaps similar to a thermometer that could be put on the site and would show the goal that you needed $5,000 by such and such date, and that thermometer will let